well, Dente, Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most and be critically silly doing it. And for the holidays, we're doing SCP-4666. Or, I guess I was going to try and do like a December, like, mix it with SCP, but like really September is the only one that really works for that. Anyway, we're doing an SCP because one of our listeners, Charcoalman, has decided to, or like has suggested us this one. And when I looked at it, I was like, yes, this has to be our Christmas one. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that as we're going to do the debriefing, since it's not really so much of a rundown because it's about it's more like it's more bureaucratic than a story, than a traditional story narrative. Mm-hmm. So, item SCP-466. 4666.
4666.
Yeah, 4666. Is a Keter object.
What does that mean again? I was meaning to look it up,
fuck.
I forgot.
Give me a second.
I'm glad no one else did it. I should probably look it up, but nah, they'll know what it means.
Object class. There we go. And so for those of you not in the know, Keter...
Which is all of us.
Which is all of us. As I'm reading it off the SCP Wiki.
Yeah.
A Keter class SCP are anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or unreliably. So, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. The Foundation often can't contain these SCPs well due to not having a solid understanding of the anomaly, or lacking the technology to properly contain it or counter it. Keter SCPs do not mean the SCP is dangerous, just that it is simply very difficult and costly to contain. However, our SCP here is very dangerous, as we're about to go into. So, SCP-4666... basically, the special containment procedures involved are web traffic and law enforcement channels, like monitoring, like basically keeping tabs on all of like the global networks on like surveillance, involving cases of stalking and reporting anomalous phenomena involving families with young children. There's an event that revolves around this entity called known as the Weiss Nacht events, and should one of those events be suspected to be in progress, the nearest containment task force is to be dispatched and contain in attempt to contain the creature. Media coverage is to be basically falsified in regards to like reports of the victims of this creature, in that it was a simple break and entering murder. Simple breaking and entering murder.
Comparatively, yeah.
Yeah, compared to what it does, yes. The description is basically a tall, lanky, humanoid of unknown origin, white hair, pale complexion,
stark naked.
And then what it does is, over the course of 12 days, or 12 nights, it basically, right around the time of Christmas, it begins stalking a family, like, from afar, and then gets closer and closer and closer each night. And then the family usually ends up experiencing, like, haunting, like, activity, like footprints on the roof or in the attic. Sometimes even footprints and stuff like that in their hallways at night, stuff like that. And then at the final night, two scenarios occur.
So I think you mean footsteps, not footprints.
That's
like
what
the audio of
the
footsteps,
audio of footprints. Yeah. So two scenarios happen on night 12. The first is the most common. SCP-4666 kills the family and leaves one of them alive. Usually, actually, always the youngest child.
Only if they're under 8.
Yeah, and they are abducted. And then the rest of the family is basically ritually splayed out in the...
Tortured and killed.
Yeah, tortured and killed and then splayed out in like a weird like ritualistic thing, with all the symbols and whatnot kind of unknown origin. Like, we don't know what they mean or like how they correlate or anything like that. The secondary scenario is known as Weiss Nacht. and that is the event where nobody dies, but the child wakes up the next morning with a toy made from human remains at their at the end of their bed. So yeah, those are terrifying. And there's a bunch of reports in the document of a Weiss Nacht event as well as the instances event. So like Weiss Nacht events, actually, yeah, Weiss Nacht events are the ones where like the family is killed and like,
that's what I thought.
Child, and then the instances logs are like basically the ones the 15% that don't die and are just left alone. But then the thing leaves a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's like tons of them, like from like basically the 18th century on, and there's speculation that it's even gone even earlier than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to span the creature's domain seems to be north of the 40 degree north latitude, and that is, think about it.
Just anywhere in the world above that latitude.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Anything north of that latitude. Although there's speculation that like it can really just go anywhere, but that's wild conjecture.
Well, every single one of these events from that huge time frame is above that. So.
Exactly, yeah. The discovery, apparently in 1974, the Foundation's newly implemented anomalous signature recognition program, that's a mouthful, picked up a bunch of home invasion incidences involving family deaths and found that they all correlated within the Northern Hemisphere and during the nights of January 1st to the 2nd. So, as they went on to that, they discovered basically a whole like again the history of this creature over the course of like documented cases. And unfortunately, like this, aside from some fingerprints that they found on some of the toys that have been left, show like an inhuman fingerprint. Like it's got like a double whorl pattern in it, and like humans don't have that.
Yeah.
And even the hair strands that they've been able to recover don't match human.
They can't get any DNA out of it at
exactly, all. Yeah. There was one case. One addendum to it is SCP-4666A, in which in Hoona, Alaska, one of these Weiss Nacht events happened, in which one of the toys, which was a life-sized doll made from the emaciated body of a female child, turned out to be still alive, barely.
Mm-hmm.
The dress it was wearing was made from various pieces of dirty, discolored clothing, and had been sewn around the body,
into
the body. A lot of the stitching in other previous toys were done using human tendons. Mm. So I imagine it was the same case for this creature,
probably,
or this individual. The mouth had been sewn shut, with human tendons. Mm-hmm. And blood had been used to basically color the lips red. The fingernails of another child had been glued onto this body's fingernails with pine resin, another craft material the entity uses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the scalp had been replaced with another child's scalp.
Mm-hmm.
And both eyes had been removed with 2 large round marbles in the sockets. Somehow this
rocks.
No, it says I'm literally reading it from the descriptor. And
Just
2 large
rocks.
round pebbles on which eyes had been crudely painted, placed in the empty orbits.
I guess I read that wrong.
Yeah. Well, pebble is a rock.
Yeah, you're not wrong technically, because pebble is technically just a smooth rock.
You said marble.
I said pebble.
You said marble.
Did I say marble?
You said it twice. And then you corrected yourself.
Okay, I meant pebble then.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Well then, all right, I'm right then. Hooray.
I'm done. No.
Gamer's right. That means
How dare you be right?
He can never be right, ever.
Yeah, but when I'm wrong, you guys just pounce on me like vultures.
If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. That's fine.
Fair.
I don't have a problem with that. I'll own it.
Fair enough. So the body, despite being, like that, she was still alive, at least for like 18 hours, and was rushed to Juneau, Alaska, the Barlett Regional Hospital, where agents converged, cordoned it off, and then got a half-hour interview before she slipped back into her coma and then died. And so they got information from her about what had been going on. She apparently was Russian originally from 2 years ago. And she'd been taken by the creature and brought to the subterranean layer where there were hundreds of other children, or a bunch of other children. Yeah, hundreds. Sorry, I just speculated that. Where there was a bunch of other children, as well as remains, and the children were being used to basically make toys out of children that couldn't make toys. Mm-hmm. And then when she couldn't make any toys, she became the toy, and that's why. Mm-hmm. That's where. So actually, the creature doesn't make the toys; it forces other children to make toys
through slave labor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's basically where the SCP entry ends. Is at that interview with the child, and that revelation that when the kid is abducted, it is forced to make toys, and then when it can't make toys anymore, it becomes the toy. Mm-hmm. So that was our debriefing of SCP-4666. So we are going. Oh, by the way, SCP-4666 is by Hercules Rockefeller on SCP Wiki. As always, I encourage you to check out the SCP Wiki because it is just a goldmine of creepy and weird. And I guess we'll go into... I have no grammar inquisitions. Do you have any grammar inquisitions, Mikey?
No.
Does Gamer in Yellow have any grammar inquisitions? Okay, so right on to actual thoughts then. So this is under Special Containment Protocols. Should a Weiss Nacht event be suspected to be in progress, the nearest containment task force is to be dispatched to attempt containment of SCP-4666. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. And my response, as soon as I started reading that, I was like, damn it, I immediately thought it say Supernatural Task Force. You guys have burrowed that into my brain.
You're welcome.
And then this is under its description. Though the nature and extent of its anomalous properties remain uncertain, SCP-4666 appears capable of instantaneous or near instantaneous travel to any location north of 40° north latitude, and possibly to any location on Earth. So then, just say it appears capable of instantaneous global travel? I feel like it should be limited to the north 40° latitude.
It is.
Given that it's that's what they say, and that's what all the reports show. But yeah, and it also gives it a territory and a threatened region, basically, that its domain. Mm. The extra bit at the end, though, about possible global travel, to me just kind of felt like it was an afterthought, or in game or in canon, it felt like wild speculation.
Exactly. Well, they don't know how it works, so for all they know, it could go anywhere else. It just prefers going up there.
That's fair.
Yeah, and monsters go on vacation too.
Yeah, but they go to Transylvania, which is still on the 40 latitude.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, I just I just saw that. I was like, I mean, just say it differently, because the way it's written in the story, I just you basically just retracted what you it's it's definitely at 40% latitude, but it could possibly go anywhere else. So I was like, it just seemed kind of an afterthought. But
what it should do is be separate, saying the instances of all the recorded instances are above 40° north latitude. However, with how little we understand this creature, it could possibly go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it. That's what they need to be saying. Yeah. And then I also, on top of this, checks map. Great! We're in its range!
Of course.
Perfect! Awesome, I love it! Yeah. And then this next one. During this phase, in what are termed Weiss Nacht events, SCP-4666 will appear at dwellings in one of multiple locations north of the 40° north latitude. So, just saying any story or game scenario from this just needs to be titled Weiss Nacht. I feel because when you actually look up Weiss Nacht, all the Google images, Google searches I did come up to the SCP, because Weiss Nacht is actually not the word, not the proper word, or not the word that is actually supposed to be used for it. Weihnachten is the observance of what is commonly known in English as Christmas Eve in the German-speaking countries and like other Eastern European countries. Thank you, Wiki. But it seems like the author of this either like misspelled Weihnachten or made up their own version of it, which I am totally for because it adds like an originality to it, while tying it to this festive season for the material. Because
it's a different event from the actual event, which is just Christmas.
Exactly, yeah. Or just old lore Christmas, basically.
Yeah. But they refer to this separately because it's its own
event, yeah. And again, like my thing with the title, like, I feel like any kind of short like story that like involves this SCP entity or like any game scenario I would write for it, I'm probably going to dub it Weiss Nacht because it doesn't. It's a deep cut for the SCP entry, so any of my players are like in the know of SCPs. They're going to hear that and they're going to be a little bit scared. Yeah. And the other ones won't know anything about it. So they'll be like, it'll be perfect. So they get the fear out of them. Because it's like the Call of Cthulhu scenario issue where like, if you have a group of players that have played Call of Cthulhu for like 20 years, they know what a Byakhee looks like, or they know what a Migo looks like. So like when you try to describe it, it's like, oh, that's a Byakhee. I know it has this many points of health and this kind of armor. And like, it kind of ruins the fear element of Call of Cthulhu when your players know the stats or know about the creature already. Yeah. So that was my idea for that. And then there's this part that kind of traumatized me a little bit for Christmas this year. In all known Weiss Nacht events, these dwellings have shared the following characteristics. Isolated rural location. Ding. Home to a family with at least one child under the age of 8. Ding. And situated in an area with snow cover lasting through the duration of the event. Ding. Oh, poop.
You have all of them.
Well, this is going to be a long Christmas. Yeah. As I was reading the description of the knights, I was visualizing Nice cultist scaring the piss out of me by saying there's a strange figure in the woods behind our house. Like this. Again, it's a personal, like, biased opinion on the story, but I think that, like, that's my personal fear of the story, or creep I got from the story, is the fact that I could visualize Nice cultists doing something like that to scare the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, unintentionally, because she's just naturally creepy.
Of course, yes.
Yeah,
it's too real for you.
It's, whoa, why is this, why?
It's like it's targeted specifically for you.
Yeah. Mm. So thank you, Charcoal Man, for suggesting this SCP entry, because I'm not going to be able to sleep a wink for the next 12 for the last 12 nights of December.
That's going to go well.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be fine. You won't be hallucinating and seeing tall naked men in the forest.
This title card may not actually have already been like photographed the back, so I could add in like a creepy man in the background. Nice. I'm thinking I'm actually going to do that. Yeah, for the title card. All right, so regarding Night 12's two scenarios. So I don't know which is more unsettling. The Sinister-style family kill torture sequences, or the Nightmare Before Christmas style gifts made from macabre materials. I'm honestly quite torn as to which scenario is creepier to stumble upon.
Okay. If you say so.
I don't just personally
it's personal opinion.
You know, it is personal opinion. If you're the cop that has to deal with the ritualistic killing of a family, obviously that's graphic and terrifying. Or being the parent or family member who goes to see what their child is freaking out about, and finding again the life-size doll of a child made from a child in your kid's room, or any of the other artifacts that are in the addendum listing. Mm-hmm. Again, check out the wiki if you want to know the full extent of that. I know both of them are really one of them is viscerally creepy, and the other one's also viscerally creepy, but also kind of got a kind of what if it had been the other scenario, kind of dread.
That's true.
To it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm getting. I'm not saying either one is the visceral the mass killings isn't terrifying, but because that's just I'm not that desensitized from like movies and true crime shit. But like the other one just proposes like kind of a sense of dread that you don't see in the other one. Of just the what if. So,
but the fear is the fear of the other one happening.
Yeah,
which means the other one happening is
the other one happening. Well, the problem with the other one happening, like, is if it happened and you're one of the family members, well, you're already dead. Don't really. I mean, you've been tortured, but you're dead, so you're not going to worry about it in the long run. And if you're the cop, yeah, sure, that might leave a lasting remark on you. If any of our creepypasta that involve like a cop narrator is to be suggested. I'm not saying that it's like not any creepier, but I'm just saying like I don't know which one I would find more creepy if I was put in those places. And then moving on to and the doll girl, her name was Ekaterina Morozova.
Don't even know why you're trying to pronounce it.
Russian? Oh no, I think she's Polish actually.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. So regarding her interview, man, I think we found something as scary or scarier than Krampus for the holidays with this creature. Like, it does things similar to Krampus and has similarities, but the more human appearance of this creature, while also being twisted and adds kind of a unknowable factor to the, like, because of its rituals and its behavior, that I think to me is a little more creepy than the Krampus. Because like Krampus, like maybe with that is like Krampus is kind of more of a known commodity now, especially with like media, like those movies, the Krampus movies that came out like a couple of years ago.
So Krampus' deal is he takes kids that are bad.
Or leaves coal as the instead of presents.
Yeah, but what does he do to the kids he takes? I forget.
He tortures and eats them, but just tortures and eats them. Doesn't make them toys.
Doesn't make them make toys.
Exactly. Doesn't make them make other people make other them's toys.
Yeah. So let's take baseline Krampus, change the way he looks, and add more to it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
By default, it's creepier.
About as scary or scarier, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, like he looks more human, so like that's a little bit more creepy on the angle of that, like how could a human do this? Now, obviously, this thing may not be human and just might be like human-esque.
It's not. It's like 9 feet tall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Slenderman-y kind of. Yeah. And all the rituals, like not even the SCP knows like what kind of symbols, like what the symbols and all that shit mean. Like, so it's like some kind of alien like ritual like patterns and shit on.
And it has some alien language as well.
Yeah,
because that interview, she started talking in a language no one understood. Because
that's how like what she had been like hearing for 2 years, basically.
Yeah. That's what she had to learn to communicate with it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like, again, I think we have a contender for Krampus as a Hollywood boogie, or not Hollywood, a holiday boogeyman. So
there's 2 tiers of bad. There's the Krampus bad, where it's like he just goes around putting coal in, and sometimes he takes the kids, whatever. Maybe he's hungry occasionally.
Yeah.
But then if they're really bad kids,
you get
SCP-4666.
You get Weiss Nacht.
Yes.
The Weiss Nachtoid. And that's basically my actual thoughts until we go into the kitchen section of this podcast. So, Mikey, what do you got?
Not a whole lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a monster.
You spooky? So for mine, I guess.
You seriously have nothing?
Not until the
kitchen? All right, fair enough. I'm glad I'm backpacking this episode.
T-Mama back. I only really have one note that I wrote down while actually reading it. This is the, at least for me, the first SCP I recall where like the C isn't properly associated to the entity because it's not contained at all.
Yeah, well, because they can't contain it, or they can like they've been trying to contain it.
So, yeah, but that's why it feels more like the case file of like a serial killer at large compared to a case file on someone that's imprisoned and like seeing like how they're kept captive and stuff like that. It's very different.
Yeah. Well, again, that's I don't think we've done many Keter classifications.
I don't remember any that are just out in the world still.
Yeah. Oh, and there are a bunch of them that are out in the world that they just basically like keep under wraps. So they it's what does SCP stand for? Secure, contain, protect.
Yeah, they can't contain this one,
and they can barely secure it. And the
Isn't secure and contain the same thing?
Wait, what is it? Is it secure, contain, protect? I'm pretty sure it's secure.
So.
Secure is get it. Contain is hold it. And protect is to, like, not let other people know about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're doing a good job of protecting people from its knowledge.
This is P4666.
Yeah, basically. But again, like, that's the thing. Like, that's why there's a range and, like, there's a classification set up. Like, the Keters are, like, they have a hard time containing it or keeping it under wraps because it's so elusive or it's so alien.
They could just teleport anywhere it wants.
Yeah.
Even if they
how do you contain that? Like... Again,
it has to be in a cell made of a material that it can't pass through.
Exactly.
Which they have to figure out.
Yeah. So maybe they have contained it a couple of times, but they always manage to elude them.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be like a story itself, rolling into the kitchen aspect.
Mm-hmm. Like just the SCP people trying different materials to contain it.
Yeah, and like each log is just like a different year because it keeps vanishing through, so they have to like catch it the next year.
Mm-hmm. And technically they're safe because it only kills like families in their homes
until one of the SCP agents has a family with a child that's under 8.
Yeah, but his entire family isn't going to be at the SCP Foundation during Christmas. That's my point.
Until it decides to like vanish out of its chamber. Its containment chamber, and starts stalking his family.
I get that, but what I'm trying to say is, it being potentially contained in the SCP facility means that the facility staff are safe, because it doesn't seem to kill outside of people's actual homes.
Yes.
Unless it does. Unless it's contained and it has to break out.
Unless it finds a loophole that, well, the facility is these staff's home, technically, because they spend so much time there.
Yeah. Or just like, I'm in prison, fuck you, I'm going to kill you all.
Exactly, yeah.
He starts night crawling around, teleporting and murdering everyone.
Yeah. And then ritually, like, adding, like, weird weird sigils onto the walls in their blood and shit.
Mm-hmm. And he breaks every other SCP out.
Oh, God. And then the apocalypse happens.
Just a jailbreak.
The SC apocalypse happens.
Mm-hmm. The guy unintentionally went into a kitchen segment there.
You said you didn't have much for that, so you kind of just bled into it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so going on to the kitchen then. So a lot of mine are mostly game scenario stuff, like, all right, Little Fears. Starting off with that one. Basically, you play as children fighting off nightmarish monsters like Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark style stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It can go into like basically Call of Cthulhu, but for kids.
Sounds weird.
It has. I've played in those games. I've run some of those games. It has gone that way.
Mm-hmm.
So Little Fears seems like kind of a low-hanging fruit with basically you're playing the kids dealing with this stalking creature until the final night, and then it's basically like a Goonies. It could kind of go into like kind of a Goonies style or like Home Alone style like scenario where you're trying to like figure out how to keep this thing out of your home and from killing your family, or like just try to figure out what it does, and then like it goes into basically a slasher flick where it's murdering your family and you're trying to evade it in your home. The Weiss Nacht events list that is gives me a plethora of fodder and seed ideas personally for for games like Zweihander. Zweihander being an RPG game that's more about like playing dark fantasy, like grim and perilous fantasy. So like you're not you're not like magical elves or like dwarves and some of that. You could be like people in the 17th to 18th century fighting werewolves or like any kind of like baddie. Or just like brigands in like your shitty little village in the middle of like a medieval mountain range. So that's kind of the thing I have for this is that we set the game in the 17th to 19th century Europe, and just you're investigating family murders for the church or another group that fights off like demonic things or like weird events like that. Or you're like part of the town militia investigating this like massive homicide. And then basically pick your poison for any horror game with occult magic systems or critters in place, like Unknown Armies, Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu, Fear Itself, Esoterist. The list goes on of like just like using the unknown ritual use and symbols that the creature does, and like having that in play with players while players bash their heads figuratively against the mystery as they try to investigate these killings, past and present. Like maybe they stumble upon a present day murder of like a family and then see all these symbols, and then the gameplay or the story is them digging into similar murders across like the country or even across the globe, and just like, what the fuck is this thing like, what is it doing, like how's it doing this kind of stuff. And then like then you cut to like the next year and they're like they found like signs of it happening again, and so like that's when they're like they try to like stop it. So yeah, there's a plethora of games of like campaign or RPG books and supplements that you can use for this kind of scenario, or this kind of idea for a scenario. The notable SCP-4666 instance recovered listings, like all the items that were recovered, man, you put that in a Delta Green game where the agents find a green box or a similar storage unit of like weird shit that and like that's basically your item list. And like that you could even go like the True Detective season 1 like angle where like you open up the storage unit and not only are all these items here, there's like a crazy man's like map of like the country of like where all they're from and like all the reports and all the articles, and that's basically your campaign seed into like involve it, like figuring out what's happening here. And maybe by investigating this, you find out that like that's how maybe you get marked or you get like noticed by the creature, and maybe that's why like the guy who started a storage unit has gone missing or something like that. Like basically this thing doesn't want to be found either, or found out either. So like it basically like hunts down and stalks the person that's looking into it. Or maybe the SCP Foundation is also on your ass for digging into this. Like maybe you're just like a normal like FBI agent or CSIS agent.
But you're kind of out of your jurisdiction.
You're out of your jurisdiction, yeah. And then the secret task force shows up and starts like basically they are just as much the antagonist as the creature you're looking for too. And then a really twisted idea I had, kind of out there, use the Threadbare RPG. So Threadbare is an RPG about playing broken and lost toys. And you are playing the kid toys who aren't quite dead yet in the lair, but are just cognitive enough that you're basically desperately trying to escape or like get out of the thing's lair. And basically it's like a weird like Krampus style or Pan's Labyrinth style like subterranean world, where you're like trying to get like basically outrun or outmaneuver the creature as well as his like thralls of like children toy makers. The end goal with that one I feel would be really bleak because congrats, you got out, you die because you die of your injuries, because
probably
the magic of the tunnel world this thing lives in was keeping you alive.
But you're free.
Yeah, but at least you escaped the Weiss Nacht creature. And then again, like from the what is this? Oh, yeah, story-wise. So actually, like away from the video, from my RPG game scenario stuff, actually onto a story, because that's kind of what our show's about. I could see using all those ideas that I just came up with for games and just kind of writing them as a situation for a story, like as a scenario.
Yeah, I talked to Mikey earlier about that. Where like basically anything that can be gameable can also be storyable.
Yeah.
Because games are essentially playing out a story. Exactly,
yeah. They are a storytelling games. Yeah. So yeah, and the way you write it would also like you could have it like be fun. Like have journal from like some witch finder in Europe who's been stalking this stalker of Kinder, or children in German. Like play is like basically like a witch hunter who's after the serial killer, but like treated as a document from like the 17th century or 18th century. Or from the kid's point of view, past or modern, where the creature is getting closer and closer to his house as the events start transpiring. And again, like do like the kind of the Goonies, Home Alone style thing where the kids are trying to protect their home and themselves and their family from this creature using booby traps and all that kind of stuff. And leave it up to like whether or not the creature actually is there to kill them, or if it just like it shows up, like it's gotten past all the defenses, and then it just leaves this really creepy fucking toy made of people. So yeah, this one really like kind of this one I was actually really pleasantly surprised how much it touched me as a like for ideas and like creative juices going. Mm-hmm. Like as I was reading, I was like, oh, this is creepy. Because it's kind of hitting a little too close to home. And I can see all these ideas for like story ideas or even like game ideas. More importantly for me, game ideas. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's my my contribution to the kitchen. So, Mikey, what do you got?
All right. So, the key part that I would use for a game scenario is the timeline.
Yep.
So, enforce the strict 12 days.
Yes. Give it like basically a doom counter.
Yeah, a doom counter type thing. And have it do the things like night 1 through 7, it's either in the bush or coming to the window like it does.
Or the niece is seeing, or like a child is seeing it, and like you look out and like you think you see something, but it goes behind a tree kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the nights 8 through 11 are when it's escalating, and then footsteps and whatnot, and then obviously the final night is the determining factor.
Yeah.
But I would also sort of set it in the past.
Where there's no cell phones.
Where there's no cell phones. And it takes over a day to get to town.
Yeah, because it's rural.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be like, it could be like, it could be like any small town in like, hell, Ontario, like, because we're technically in its domain.
Yeah.
Like, there's towns in Ontario that are like super small and super out there out in the middle of nowhere. There's farms that like where your neighbor is like an hour away.
Yeah. 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 So basically, with that, like the first couple nights of creepiness, then it's like, well, I'm going to go into town, and then that wastes up a lot of the time, and then suddenly we're getting a lot closer
to nighttime.
To nights 8 and 11, and then it just
no, exactly. That's a good like again time waster, like intentional time waster. Mm-hmm. The idea of another idea that I'd pull it from. I'm pulling it from the Little Fears YouTube channel, which is a series of basically this girl or this woman did a bunch of creepy videos as well as readings of her own like creepy stories and stuff. And one of the creepy videos she did was like she went out to walk her dog, and it was snowing. So she went out. She took her dog out, walked her like to get some B-roll. So she had her camera with her, and on the way back when she got home, she stops at her driveway because there's there's human footprints, like bare human footprints in the snow, walking up to her door, and the door slightly ajar. Like,
that's weird.
That would be a creepy moment to have in that as well. Like just to add on to that. And then you find nobody in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
No footprints leaving the house.
No, it was coming directly from, like, outside. Mm-hmm. And, like, when that happens in the story, like, because in the video, like, seriously, check it out. The Little Fears is actually really good. Like, if you want to get creeped out, like, but have like a really chill like woman's voice like reading to you or like talking to you, like she's really good at like that kind of mellow talking and then dropping a creepy moment on you, because it's like she's just walking her dog and like getting B-roll, and there's some music, some like peppy music kind of playing, and then it just stops. The music stops and it cuts to her like keeping her dog like by her side as she's looking down at the footprints. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so That would be a really good scene, I think, in that, like, maybe not even within, like, the near the end, but, like, maybe that's one of the inciting incidences of, like, something's actually out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I was also thinking with the whole... It's 1 through 7. If they go into town, they only have a small amount of information. And it's basically a stalker type thing, and maybe disappearing footprints in the woods or something like that, but nothing as concrete.
Yeah.
And then nights 8 through 11, if they go into town, they have more information, because then they have the footsteps and all that. You can give them, in that point, potentially the answer on how to survive the night.
Yeah.
But use red herrings to make them go, well, is it this or this?
False
or
information.
This?
Like, give them a selection of information and have most of it be shit.
Yeah.
Because how do you know? It's a fucking SCP entity. I actually feel like since you're going to set it like kind of in an earlier time without like radio and stuff like that, or even like 80s, 90s Canada or Americana, like have the corner store scene. Like have that be at the corner store, like where the person goes to the corner store, like the local like diner or like little like greasy spoon, and start talking to some townsfolk, and like basically get like the NPCs in on it, or like they're giving suggestions, and none of them are really any good. It's some of them are reasonable in that it's like, oh, it sounds like you have some kind of like stalker, some kind of weirdo like out near your place. You may want to like get a gun or like something like that. Yeah. And then like have some really weird ones, like have some like the local like kook or like the local pastor or something like that. Give some like blessings, and like it's not going to work at all. Yeah. Like use that kind of stuff, like where they're rolling like occult rolls, or they're spending occult points to like figure out what to do, and like they're talking to people in town, and most of the ideas are terrible. Yeah, or aren't going to work at all. Yeah.
Well, and thinking about it, what would be the solution to get the good ending of the doll? And I was thinking,
the good ending of the doll?
Well, the family living.
You mean have the Kinder Surprise?
Yeah.
Oh my God! It is a Kinder Surprise.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's also a really good idea for the title of the story. Would be Kinder Surprise, because you think it's about a Kinder Surprise like chocolate, but it's actually the story where it'll end with the good good ending. I do in quotes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a good
pun.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was thinking that it would just be as simple as milk and cookies. Like the milk and cookies you leave out for Santa.
Yeah.
But they're at an extreme price because it was just Christmas. So they can have milk and cookies or a gun.
Oh, like you leave that at the corner store. You leave that, and like maybe add in some like hint of like oh, you get maybe it's like Santa, like where you have to leave him like a tribute, like cookies and milk. I was like, fuck that. If the player, like, fuck that, I want a gun.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing about horror games. That's why you give your players all the weapons and stuff you want, because in a horror game, fucking shit's not going to matter. It doesn't matter in slasher movies. It doesn't matter in half the movies that involve horror, like an actual, like, true good horror, like, ending where, like, the monster is impervious to bullets.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, and in a Delta Green game, that is literally a signifier that you're fucked. Is when the GM's like, yeah, have that rocket launcher, have that flamethrower.
There's a tank. Do you want it? Tap off.
Yeah, there's a Jeep, like with a turret on the back. Do you want that too? And you're like, that's when the player's just like, we're fucked, aren't we? It's like, yep. All right, let's do this. Let's walk into this. Let's walk into that terrible night. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. And that's like, let them hang themselves by picking the gun or the milk and cookies. I really like that. Or what happens if you give it a toy? You leave it a normal, like an actual toy. Like, what if it just wants, like that's like, because it's all about the spirit of giving. What if it's the spirit? What if it's some like alien, like eldritch horror spirit of giving? So by you giving it a present, it actually like completely like nullifies that year's like its cycle for that year.
On that house?
Yeah, on that house. Or no, like for that year, it basically like expels it for the year. Like,
just one person doing that?
Exactly, yeah. But nobody's done it because nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it could be something weird like that.
I feel like that would be a really good idea for both the game and the story side of that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's more of a spirit of taking. Because he's just
kind of yes and no. Like, he needs material for his presents that he's giving.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where capitalism comes from. The capitalist spirit of giving comes from.
Yeah, probably.
Because you got to make money. You got to take things in order to get things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, we dove down a rabbit hole there.
So continuing down the cookie route, which ended up with a hilarious quote from the monster if they choose the gun.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, I want your cookies!
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at that point they realized, oh, we should have gone for the cookies.
I really wanted some cookies. I want your cookies.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a quote from that Buddy.
Shut up
thing. I'm not going to say more, but that's the
it might be a Buddy of a killer thing.
Yeah.
The PG version of that line. I want your cookies. I want your cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're interested and you're over 18 and you don't mind raunchy horror, check out Bunny the Killer Thing to understand our in-joke of, I want your cookies. You have been warned. Alright.
Yeah. And then, continuing along the scenario of the bad ending.
Yes, the bad end.
Which is the family being...
Yeah, because it's like 15% of the cases is the present.
Yeah.
So my math is like, my percentage math is
so
really
85%.
85, thank you. I was like literally struggling there for a second. Yeah, so the 85% of the endings.
Yeah. So basically, from there, you switch to the kids' point of view of being abducted and then working in the toy shop.
Yeah.
And escaping the toy shop of horror.
Yeah, so that's basically the second scenario.
Yeah.
Like, you're a traumatized child. Yeah, so the first one is Delta Green, or like, no, I'd say I probably use Fear itself, because it's basically you play as civilians, have no... You have access to some guns, but you're not, like, proficient in any of it unless you put points into it. And you basically, it's ideal for, like, slasher movies style things, or it's ideal for, like, slow burn horror, or, like, when, like, wrong person, wrong time kind of, like, situations. I'd use that for the adult side of this game. And that would be the scenario 1. Mm-hmm. Scenario 2, the sequel, is done a little fierce. Mm-hmm. And you're this poor traumatized child trying to escape the closet land or the burrow lands of this of this monster. And then like the badder ending where you end up as a toy as that child, like you get out. The third optional one is Threadbare, where you're the toy trying to escape.
Yeah. So there's multiple avenues of where things can go in each scenario.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this actually. We've done SCP entries in the past. I think this is honestly the one that's like sparked the most creativity in me and us.
Well, partially because it gives you a list of different events that happened, and you can see them happening in different timelines and everything. Yeah.
Actually, a quick aside from that, like in those descriptions, did anybody else feel a little sense of like, okay, I get it, like the whole family's killed except for the child who was abducted? Like
because that's its MO.
I know, but it, like in every like I basically skipped that first sentence because I knew exactly what it was going to be every time. And like, yeah, I understand like that is its MO, and like that is it's like it just felt really repetitive. But
it has to be said because not the entire family doesn't always die. There's that one where one of the kids just ran away.
Oh, that's true. Shit, yeah, you're right. The kid he ran off and escaped,
and everyone else died. And probably the other kid was kidnapped or something, but one of them did run away.
Yeah.
So
there is actually hope. There's a sliver of hope that you could survive a scenario of this and not end up either in the toy factory or murdered. You just have to escape and leave your family to die, and then you're going to be orphaned for the rest of your existence. But at least you survived.
Because of how lethal this monster is, I kind of want to see the story of the kid leaving.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck he got out.
I feel like that would be like a very harrowing adventure, and like as a story, that would like you could get into like kind of the tragedy of it, and then from an RPG point of view, you could get into the players just Kermit the Frog running away from the house in a comedic fashion.
Kermit the Frog
like,
running? Oh, okay.
like
how you had to do the visual.
That's what he does. Like Google, like if anybody listening is not familiar with the Kermit the Frog like flailing, Google it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, like because that's what players end up doing is like making the seriousness all kind of silly.
No one does that. Why are you looking at me like that? I never do that.
But yeah, or like again, like it could be just as tragic. Like again, like in that scenario, because like that's basically where you end the story is that they survived, but their family got butchered.
Yeah.
I like how I'm laughing at that. Like I'm like off. Like it's not. It's gallows humor. It's not like I'm like yes.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good, some really good options for game idea. I love the like going to the town. Multiple times during the 12 days, and just getting more and more shitty information because again it's unprecedented too, like that, and there is no internet, so they're basically your info gathering. Or like going to like the local library and like using your library card, and the terror that is the Dewey Decimal System.
You never know.
Yeah. And the other thought with the cookies is that the symbols he leaves are just different types of cookies.
Oh my god! They're actually just recipes for cookies in his native language.
He's just telling you, make these next year and I won't kill you. That's all he's saying.
Yeah.
He's trying to be nice about it.
He's trying to give us a warning.
Yeah.
It's just, post-humulus.
He just doesn't realize that we don't speak his language.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't speak boogeyman.
And he doesn't realize that he's actually killing people.
How?
That's actually a very interesting, because I've talked to Travis from the guy. He's on our show a couple of times. Me and him have had conversations where like the Lovecraft stuff, like the Eldritch horrors and the Cthulhu monsters and all that stuff, where the horror isn't that they're like malevolent or even benevolent. They just don't understand. They just don't get us. So they think that what they're doing to us is nice. Like. They think they're helping because they don't understand us as much as we don't understand them. It's like, oh, what? You mean you can't put your brain in a jar and like transport it? That's how you have to transport yourself through space. Like, why are you screaming?
This is normal.
Why are you screaming through the vocal unit we've given you? Like, you can talk now. You don't need the fleshy mouth, flapping mouth thing. You've got brainwave patterns. Like, why are you like crying? Are you crying in the resin? Like that kind of thing. Like like what if it's just a monster that just doesn't understand people. It's why it makes toys. Like like all these kids are like all throughout the years I've seen these kids like playing with these toys. Like they have such a bond with them. I wonder like. Clearly, they're made from these things.
Of course, yeah. That makes sense to me.
I mean, we shit off parts of our body and play around with that. Like, that's clearly what's done here.
So, that's...
What, you mean you don't use your discarded fetal brethren and make them into toys for your live children? What's wrong with you?
I like that's his voice, too.
Just, like, very, like, belligerent about it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say about it.
That's really good. I like that. And Gamer.
Don't have too much left because I chimed in multiple times.
Yeah.
But pretty much the only thing I've left is I could see this entire thing like with all the data being put together into like a drip feed investigation situation where the main character is a detective that's investigating all these murders and kidnappings to the point that he's like globetrotting and talking to local law enforcement across the world trying to figure out what this global catastrophe is. Yeah. And like every place he goes to, he's getting more and more information.
I mean, hell, that like without the globetrotting aspect, that's basically True Detective season 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
and maybe the character is one of the kids that got away from one of the older happenings events when they were kids, so they grew up to be a detective because they wanted to solve their own family's murder.
I think that's actually like partially the premise of Darkness Falls. The movie.
I figured it sounds like it's a premise of something.
No, there's a movie called Darkness Falls where like the Tooth Fairy is like this witch that was burned during like the Salem trial kind of stuff, and so now she like haunts the town of Darkness Falls. And like the kid, like the main character is like when he was a kid, his family, I think. He was stalked by her and attacked by her, and I think the family was killed, or part of the family was killed. And he repressed it, but he always had nightmares of her. And then, like, down the road, like, when he's an adult, still psychologically recovering from all this, his girlfriend or, like, love interest, her brother, her, like, youngest brother, is starting to see her again as well. So that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's again, like, I like that idea. Like, again, like, using the data we're provided through the entry and making that investigative story.
And just see where it goes from there, whether or not it starts targeting him, either, like how we said earlier, because he's investigating the creature.
Yeah.
Not because of any family situation, or he, like, just had a kid a few years ago, so...
And the kid started saying about this weird, like, man that's out in the woods.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any clothes, Daddy.
Isn't he cold?
Why is his hair white? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. That could be a problem.
Yeah. And he's as tall as one of the trees.
That huge one over there. This is a giant creature. Draw!
Yeah. That's when exactly. That's when the SNTF shows up and just like, draw! Just like running.
Totally. Yeah.
Again, if you're wondering what we're talking about, check out the Finnish movie, the Norwegian movie, Trolls. Or Troll Hunter.
It was excellent.
Yes. I feel like we just keep like referencing shit and just like, but again, it's fine.
Is that a problem?
No.
Cool. Because I'm going to continue doing it.
Yes.
It's fine.
So is there anything else then?
Not really. I chimed in with pretty much all my other thoughts.
That's fair. I feel like we did get a lot of, this did give us a lot of ideas. So I guess look forward to the future, guys, when I start running some Weiss Nacht stories. Or maybe I'll run them for some people online or something. So I guess on to final thoughts then. So much in the same vein as Krampus, but its own SCP spin on the idea of a festive boogeyman. I recommend this entry and monster, like especially for a holiday themed game scenario. Like there's a lot of fodder here for writing a story about it or using it in a RPG where you're trying to like terrify your characters for the holidays. Cheer, eggnog, candy canes, horrible family mutilation and torture and death, and abduction of children. What more can be expected of the holidays?
Yeah, exactly.
I know I'm probably I'm definitely jotting down some notes for this for game scenarios. So, full recommendation of this entry. And thank you, Charcoal Man, for suggesting this creepypasta or this SCP entry.
I'm suggesting something good.
Wow, that sounded kind of bad.
Well,
because it's good.
No, I mean, like, because a lot of the times, some creepypastas we read are good, whether or not they're suggested or not. But man, we read some bad ones sometimes. Yeah. It's nice to see something that's genuinely good.
Yeah. Most of the time, I think those suggested ones are pretty decent.
They're usually better than us just randomly looking for shit.
Yeah, the only ones that have been suggested, I think we've had like maybe one or two that's been suggested that were like...
That Tales Dog suggested, wasn't it?
No, that was one that I realized that we hadn't done.
Oh, so it's your fault.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the shitty ones are my fault.
Okay.
I'll take all the blame for those ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
But, no, I think some of the times that people like suggest like the bad ones is like just to see us rip into it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or to like... just, I guess, see us tortured.
And I don't hate reading bad stories because I almost learn more from bad stories than good ones.
Yeah.
Because I see what not to do
when
writing.
The Goofus versus Gallant thing.
Sure.
Don't do what Goofus does. Do what Gallant does. It's an old.
Yeah, I recall that barely.
It's it is from the 70s. It's not even really from our timeline. It's from
our timeline. It's from a different timeline.
It's from the 70s timeline.
Oh,
I think it's like the same time. It's like it's like the like black and white TV, like messages or like moral things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
anyway, yeah. So, Mikey, what are your recommendations?
Well, as fodder for a story or game scenario, it does lend itself to that, and you can get your creative juices going and stuff like that. But as an actual story, you get bits and pieces, and yeah, it's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, the story is kind of fragmented, but again, that's kind of the nature of the SCP entries.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another thing I was actually surprised about. There is no classified bar, no redacted bars in this entire entry.
Well, there's like the two things you have to open up to read more.
Yeah, but I mean, are those even like you need clearance for those? Were those
they didn't write clearance shit on it, but
which is what they usually do, which I was surprised.
Yeah.
None of this, this creature is completely unredacted. Yeah, no, it's just access document. There's no actual clearance level for these ones. So this is like an unredacted SCP entry.
And it might be like that on purpose.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what the fuck it does.
That's true, yeah, because it is a Keter class. Maybe that's something that happens with Keter class ones, is they try to get the word out or the information about it out for all the access agents, so that they know to we need to contain it. We need to put the C back in or we need to put the S and C back in SCP here.
Yeah. Maybe what could have been done was put class 1 clearance on both of them.
Yeah.
So it's just the first level clearance, so everyone has that.
Or all access.
Yeah. Or that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So
I enjoyed it, reading through it. It was thoroughly creepy. It was disgusting in some segments.
Yes.
But not to the point of that some creepypastas go where it's okay, calm down, creepypasta. We get it. You're trying to be creepy.
Yeah, we get you're trying to go for that visceral horror.
Yeah. This was right on the edge. It's if it did too much more, it'd be okay, you're a little too gross. It's not working anymore.
Yeah, this one, again, like SCP entries tend to do, it's more of an analytical. It's giving us all the details, but not going excessive.
And because it's all laid out in details, it feels you can get more immersed into it.
Yeah.
Because it literally feels like you're reading a document of, a
cryptid.
Yeah.
Or, or a serial killer. Because that's really more what this guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, you remove the fact that it's killing, multiple families in those nights. Across the country, or across the world. If it was just one killing a year, this would be a serial killer. Or, an annual serial killer.
Yeah, pretty much. But it makes it feel real, and because it makes it feel real, it's creepy.
Yeah.
And, like you said, the only supernatural thing it kind of does is the whole teleportation across the world thing.
Yeah, and again, stuffs children into its bag and then goes into an underground... It does a lot of supernatural stuff, once you read further into it, but, from basically the FBI agent or, the outsider, when you first read the scenarios, all the case files, it's man, this guy gets around.
The only supernatural thing is the teleportation and the fact that he's not human.
Yeah, and the fact that he's not human.
Yeah, he's super tall and he can be outside naked and not be cold.
Mm-hmm. And he speaks some weird language. Then again, that weird language could literally just be any kind of
forgotten dialect.
Not even forgotten dialect. It could just be a made up language that he's come up with, or that he's come up with.
Yeah.
And his underground burrow could literally just be a bunk, like underground. There's hundreds, thousands of underground facilities that are defunct and just rotting out in the world. They're still finding Nazi bunkers in Germany and France.
Oh, really?
Urban explorers. If you look up urban exploration, German or European bunkers, there are shit tons of people that are still finding and recording old bunkers that are in the side of a hill just from the World War II. So there's countless places underground this thing can hide and store kids and then make toys of a dead child and then just kill them and use their body parts for stuff, and then again just
recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, he could even be a cannibal, so maybe he eats the children.
Well, he straight up does because there's
does.
multiple where there's like bite marks.
Yeah,
I don't know if it says that there's like meat like removed from it, but I guess it's assumed.
Yeah. And he only goes after people because like the cows and all the animal livestock in that one case, like there was like markings all over them, but like it was just blood marks, and so or like basically painting.
Yeah, it says specifically that the animals were not harmed.
Yeah,
no animals were harmed in the making of this entry.
Of this SCP.
Yeah, lots of humans though.
No animals were harmed in the making of this ritual killing.
That's important.
Yeah, just people.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Wow.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You'd be super sad if those cows were killed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a point, like this is like basically just a serial killer with a slight supernatural bend.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the slightness increases his lethality so much.
Yeah, I think that's why it makes him like more creepy than Krampus, is because Krampus is supposed to be a demon or imp-like creature that like kills people or kills kids or takes them away or leaves coal for them. This is more human than Krampus. I think that's what makes him scarier. Because people be scary, yo.
Yeah.
Just like the woods. So when you add people, woods, together, as this thing attacks like rural villages or rural farms.
Yeah. But long story short, I enjoyed it. It was creepy. I actually got into it, actually got immersed into it, which means it transferred its intent onto me of being weirded out by it. So I'll thoroughly enjoy it. I see all the different avenues that you could take it for gaming or for just straight up full-on stories from multiple perspectives, as we talked about. So, yeah, full recommendation.
Sweet. I have a question. So, like, I have niece cultists as my so I'm already like I'm basically like one step next to like dead if this thing should target.
Pretty much, yeah.
How did you feel? Because like you're also like out in the boonies like I am, but you don't have an 8 somebody under 8 in your household.
No, I don't.
You're just like I'm fine.
Well, I didn't feel like it was gonna personally attack me this year, but because of the way it's all laid out, I could see myself being in someone else's shoes.
Yeah,
and having this happen.
Yeah, you were just like, wow, cultist is fucked.
A little bit.
His poor family. Not him, but like his poor family.
Yeah. Really
he's got what's coming to him.
He deserves it.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I think basically full round recommendation to the face.
Sure.
If you like what you heard or if you didn't, leave a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can get a hold of us on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without that W because his name's too damn long.
Glory of the King. It has to be.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also get a hold of us on email at aldentarigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show, or other SCPs. Really, like, SCPs seem to be, like, kind of crawling up there on our listings, because, like, there's a lot of fodder there that we can talk about.
Have we run into, like, an SCP where all of us are just like, no, it's bad?
Not yet.
Yeah, I think they're generally all good.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the editing process that a lot of them get.
Yeah.
Like, just because I don't think we've done one of the SCP entries that has needed a grammar inquisition.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. Just get to the actual the actual meat on the bones.
There's no fat you have to...
There's no skin, there's no fat, there's no breading on the top. Not all that fatty goodness. Just the protein. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon, look up Dente Rigamortis at Patreon, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with extra episodes, early access, and special content. So just select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. For our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate that. And to the listeners of these episodes, and the writers of these stories and SCP entries, thank you guys immensely, because without you, we wouldn't have a show, a listenership, and I wouldn't have stories to read or entries to look at and be terrified. So thank you. Also, we are on Redbubble, so if you'd like to get the logo of the giant chomping teeth and like the noodle ADR as a sticker, a T-shirt, or anything like that.
Bath curtains.
Bath curtains.
I still think that's the funniest one.
A clock.
Yeah.
You can just go to Redbubble and check that out. And all proceeds go to our hosting, and all of it goes toward back to the podcast. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
Happy holidays. Sleep well.